Cuffs and kisses. The edge of control. Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong move would send him plummeting into a mess of consequences that would be nearly impossible to climb out of. But the more he tried to ignore it, the more the pull toward Jax gnawed at him, demanding his attention. The kiss, raw and impulsive, had left them both rattled and craving more. He tried to get back into his routine, back into the comfort control, but it wasn't working. It was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a handkerchief. Everywhere he looked, there was a reminder of that night. The heat, the tension, the impossible chemistry. For the next few days, Ryan focused on work, trying to push Jax out of his mind. But when he arrived at the station that Friday morning, things weren't as easy to avoid as he had hoped. A phone call had come in. It was a tip. Jax had been spotted in a nearby warehouse, rumored to be involved in some sort of illegal arms deal. A part of Ryan's mind said he should rush in, arrest Jax, throw him in cuffs, and end this once and for all. Another part, the part that had been trained to trust his instincts, told him to wait. Maybe Jax wasn't involved at all. Maybe it was just another lead that wouldn't pan out. But deep down, Ryan knew the real reason he hesitated. He wasn't sure if he could arrest Jax. Not after everything. Ryan parked his patrol car a block away from the warehouse, trying to steady his breathing. His mind was racing. Was this his duty or his heart talking? He didn't know anymore. He stepped out of the car, adjusting his jacket, and walked toward the warehouse with purpose, trying to shake the feeling that his next steps might lead him to something that would change him forever. The door to the warehouse creaked open, and Ryan's pulse quickened as he slipped inside. The place was dimly lit, crates stacked high in the shadows. He moved cautiously, each step careful, every sound amplified in the silence. And then he saw him, Jax, leaning against a crate, arms crossed, looking as casual as ever, as though this was just another lazy afternoon for him. "Funny, I thought you'd be wearing your badge today, Officer McHale." Jax's voice broke through the tension, smooth like honey. "You here to arrest me?" Ryan's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't expected Jax to be so calm, so at ease. It rattled him, making him question what he'd come here for. "I'm here to check on a tip," Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "A weapons deal. You know anything about that?" Jax's lips curled into a sly smile. "You really think I'm that dumb? You think I'd be mixing in something like that right under your nose? I'm not the one you're looking for." Ryan hesitated, trying to gauge the sincerity in Jax's eyes. Was he telling the truth, or was this just another one of Jax's games? "I don't know what to believe anymore," Ryan admitted, the frustration slipping into his tone. "I can't keep doing this, Jax. I can't keep pretending I don't feel something when I'm around you. It's not right." Jax took a step toward him, his expression softening. "You're right. It's not right. But sometimes the things that feel wrong are the only ones that feel real. You're a cop. I'm a criminal. We're not supposed to mix." "But tell me, Ryan." He stopped, his voice dropping to something almost tender. "Tell me you're not feeling the same thing I am." Ryan's breath caught in his throat. Jax was so close now that Ryan could feel the heat of his body, the tension building between them. The distance that had been between them before was gone, and suddenly, there was nothing left but the undeniable connection. "You want the truth?" Ryan's voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know what I want anymore. I just know that you're everything I'm supposed to stay away from." Jax's eyes flashed, and in a heartbeat, his hand was on Ryan's arm, pulling him in. He tilted his head, locking eyes with Ryan, a challenge in his gaze. "You don't have to stay away from me," Jax murmured, his lips brushing against Ryan's ear. "You just have to stop pretending you don't want to be with me. We both know what's going on here." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, his pulse racing in his ears. The words, the proximity, the heat, they were too much, too intense. His rational mind screamed that this was wrong, that he was on the brink of ruining everything. But his body was betraying him, aching for something he couldn't explain. "Jax, I can't." Ryan started, but the rest of the words died on his lips as Jax's mouth covered his, silencing him with the same urgency they'd shared the last time. This kiss wasn't slow. It wasn't cautious. It was hungry, desperate. filled with all the things they had both been avoiding. Ryan kissed him back, giving in to the temptation that had been pulling him in for days. He knew this was a mistake. He knew that the consequences of this would be disastrous. But he also knew, with a clarity that cut through the fog, that he couldn't stop now. Jax pulled away just slightly, his forehead resting against Ryan's, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "You don't have to choose, Ryan. You can have both. We can have both." Ryan shook his head, torn between everything he'd ever been taught and everything he felt in that moment. "I don't know if I can live with that." Jax's smile returned, softer this time. "You don't have to figure out now. Just let it happen." Before Ryan could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. "We've got company," Ryan muttered, his heart pounding, reality crashing back into focus. Jax winked at him, then slipped back into the shadows, vanishing just as quickly as he had appeared. Ryan stood frozen for a second, the weight of what had just happened settling over him like a heavy cloak. As Ryan turned to leave the warehouse, he realized that this was no longer about duty. It wasn't about right or wrong, either. It was about something far more dangerous. Something that was already out of control, to be continued. And that's just the beginning for Ryan and Jax. Want to see what happens next in their story? Make sure to subscribe to Petals Pride and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter of Cuffs and Kisses. Because here at Petals Pride, we believe love blooms in every color.